hours together, flying kites, walking near the lake, or just sitting and talking of their dreams. She knew she loved him deeply, and when he proposed marriage, she immediately said yes. Within a year, he had saved enough money to rent them a small but cozy apartment. They were married, and she began her new life as a wife to an aspiring executive. She kept her job because he had one more year at the university before he would begin working full-time. The part-time work he did as a sales clerk in the telephone store did not make enough to meet all of their financial burdens. This did not trouble her, though, for she knew they would soon be living a much better lifestyle. When Mei Li discovered she was pregnant, she and her husband were alarmed. It was too soon in their marriage, and they were not prepared. The young couple talked to Le Ming's parents and were relieved that they would stand behind them and support them through the first year. His parents were excited to be expecting a grandson who would carry on the family name. At first, this further worried Mei Li, because she knew that there was a chance she would not have a boy. When she tried to talk this over with her husband, he assured her that he knew of a doctor who would perform an illegal ultrasound when it was time, and confirm for them what his heart already knew, that they would indeed have the coveted son. She convinced herself to put the worry out of her mind and concentrate on the future and the joy it would bring. In order to save for upcoming expenses, she began to cut her diet drastically. She would cook meat, rice, and vegetables for her husband, but would eat only rice herself. She was a healthy young woman, so what harm could that do? The extra pennies she saved would buy their son the many things he would need that first year. When they were unable to bribe a doctor to do the ultrasound, she should have known that bad luck was upon them. After much contemplation, they decided male births were dominant in her husband's family, and thus it would be safe to continue with the pregnancy. The night of the birth, the grandparents took great care in performing every step according to custom, in order not to upset the ancestors. Le Ming was their only son, and his child would probably be their only grandchild. They wanted to make sure that nothing went awry. The birth did not go well. Mei Li labored for close to 20 hours before the doctor finally anesthetized her and performed a cesarean section. As the gas took effect, she watched her husband's eyes and thought of how happy they would soon be. When she awoke, however, it was to a silent and empty hospital room. She had expected that her baby would be lying next to her, awaiting his first meal from his mother. A look around the room proved her child was nowhere in sight. With increasing alarm, she called out for someone to come. Eventually, a nurse entered and, with a frown upon her face, approached the new mother to check her pulse. "Where is my son?" Mei Li demanded. The nurse briskly walked to the window, raised the blind, and looked out over the city. The defeated stance of her body indicated she had given this speech many times. "You did not give birth to a son. You had an unlucky little girl." As reality set in, Mei Li became very agitated. "This is not true. Where is my husband, and where are his parents?" The nurse sat on the bed and looked at the young mother. "They have all gone home. Your husband says you must have done something to cause this tragedy. Your girl child is not normal. She was born with a deformity." The room became so quiet that Mei Li could hear her heart pumping blood. She was shocked to learn that the child was a girl, but to hear she was crippled was almost too much to absorb. "What do you mean? How is she deformed?" The nurse looked away once again and said, "Her leg is twisted and unnatural. She will be an outcast. I'm sorry to say, but your family does not want her." "I don't care if they want her or not. She is my child." The nurse just shook her head unsympathetically and walked out of the room. When the time came for Mei Li to leave the hospital with her child, she did so with a heavy heart. She had not had a single visit from her husband nor anyone else in his family. She had no money to take the bus, so, with the baby cradled in her arms, she began the long walk home. A slow but steady rain fell, and she feared for the health of her daughter. As she picked up the pace, her mind whirled with the anticipation of what her husband would say to her. Drenched with rain, she reached her building and stopped outside to gather her courage. Looking up at the tall building, she tried to pick out their window. Was he there? Would he be happy to see her? And would he put her mind at ease? Would he help her care for the baby so she could rest her aching feet? Climbing the many stairs, she frequently paused to ease the pain from her stitches. With each